All right, Pat, I think we're ready to get started. Welcome to TRF Tuesday, the place for 30 mind-body minutes. This is the Trauma Research Foundation's weekly mini workshop series from bright and diverse voices in integrative mind-body practice. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. It tells YouTube this content is valuable and they'll show it to more people. We're happy to have you at Transforming Triggers, a top-down and bottom-up approach. This is session 4, entitled Future Selfing, and it's my great pleasure to introduce our presenter. Carden Rabin is a nervous system medicine practitioner, an expert in the field of psychophysiologic disorders, and co-founder of Chronic Fatigue School. Over the last 15 years, he's combined principles of bodywork, brain retraining, and somatic trauma therapies to help thousands of clients all over the world heal from chronic pain and illness. He is a regular contributor to the TRF blog and has led programming for the Wounded Warrior Project, Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, and for Starbucks. Carden, we're so happy to have you back again. Thank you so much for being here. Take it away.
Mary, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And hello, everyone all over the world. Welcome to Transforming Triggers. The purpose of this series is that I think we can all relate to the fact that often the way chronic stress, trauma, the way they present in our lives is in this form of triggers, right? When something happens in our lives and all of a sudden we have that response in our body, we have that response in our minds, we either maybe get really, really activated or we start to shut down. And so the purpose, it was to give folks an opportunity to be able to see those triggers, witness those triggers, and to use different mind, body, and somatic-based practices to provide a window, an opportunity to transform the response to certain triggers. And you can go back and onto the Trauma Research Foundation YouTube channel if you'd like to see some of the other techniques that we've explored in the previous 3 sessions. But also each of these sessions stands alone as a useful skill in this world of transforming triggers. And today we're doing a practice called future selfing. So future selfing is an expression for how we can train our mind bodies, prepare our mind bodies, our nervous systems to interact with a trigger that's not happening right now, but that is likely to happen in the future. So although triggers tend to hit us right in the moment, kind of maybe out of the blue, or maybe we know them, we're going to go over to our mom's house and we're going to get triggered or what have you. Future selfing is really a form of training and preparing. Chris Voss, who is the author of Never Split the Difference, a phenomenal book on negotiating, he has this expression for negotiators, and that negotiators, every negotiator has something when they're in negotiation, debate, conflict, argument that is really hard for them to handle. And he says, whatever that kind of thing that's hard for you to handle is, like some of us can't even really handle conflict, right? That you need to practice experiencing the discomfort of that moment. He calls it practice taking a punch, so that you know what that feels like, so you don't collapse in that moment. You don't just crumble around the impact of that uncomfortable moment. You are used to it, and you're used to it enough so that it hits you, right? The trigger hits you, but you then have the space and opportunity to respond differently. You don't just collapse into the impact or execute your old habitual response. So future selfing is going to combine noticing our body. It's going to combine using resource states that make our body a bit feel more regulated, feel more protected, feel more safe, feel more at ease, so that we can then imagine a future situation that tends to be triggering to us. Take that punch, right? Feel some of that trigger. And then because we're in practice mode rather than in real mode, and we have the resource state, we can then develop the ability to respond differently. And I want to be distinct here. Some people have practiced, the next time I meet with my boss, I want to speak up, and they practice it going well. Now, that is admirable, but practicing it going well usually doesn't work because you actually haven't practiced it going, I'm not even going to say poorly. You haven't practiced it going the way your nervous system knows it's going to go, which is, I'm going to be in front of my boss. I'm going to say I want to raise, but I'm going to shut down. I'm not going to say it. It's going to get awkward. I'm going to say thank you and I'm going to walk out. We actually have to practice the discomfort. We have to practice the old habit along with the new way we might want to respond to actually train the nervous system to do differently. Because if all we do is practice how we'd like to be, the moment that the trigger or the discomfort hits, the way we want it to go goes out the window, and we usually go back to our old patterns and reactions. So that's a bit of a long preamble for what we're trying to do. And the last thing that I'm going to invite everyone to consider before we go into the exercise is that because we're all different people, the trigger that we could choose for this exercise could be all over the map. And as with the other things in the series, we want to pick relatively low level triggers. We don't want to pick a major trauma. We want to pick something that is that's triggering, that's stressful, but not too heavy. And what I'm actually going to invite all of us to do, unless this doesn't apply to you for some reason, is I would like to use the idea of going to the dentist. Unless you are a dentist or are just like love going to the dentist, most of us are somewhat stressed. Our mind, body, our nervous system is going to have a reaction to the idea of going to the dentist. You could pick something similar, like if you've just going to the doctor is something that's a relatively low level trigger. If going to visit your accountant is a low level trigger. I want you to select something that's relatively low but relatively common. And I encourage all of you to use the dentist one, unless you have a better one. And we're going to use that as the thing to practice future selfing on, although you really could use it on any topic. And so with that, I'm going to invite everyone who's here to close their eyes. If closing your eyes is not comfortable for you, you are perfectly welcome to do this exercise with your eyes open as well. But we're going to close our eyes, and the first part of our practice is to tune into how we are now, which is not an instruction to relax. It's simply an instruction to notice how you are now. You could start with a broad perspective, being curious about, on a scale of 1 to 5, what your overall body tension is, 5 being the most tense, 1 being the least tense. You could tune into the area of your chest, heart, breath, and be curious whether or not your breathing is easy and expansive or a bit more restrained, restricted. And you can also tune into your mental landscape itself, the velocity of your thoughts, maybe the level of charge or intensity or distraction that's happening up there. Or maybe it's placid and your mind is calm. Once again, noticing overall level of tension in the body, 1 to 5. The quality of your breath. Expansive and open, closed and restricted. You could also score that from 1 to 5. and the quality of your mind. Frenetic or placid. And also let yourself just wiggle and move a little bit. We tend to get restricted or stiff during these practices at times. Getting comfortable. And having noticed how your body is now Polaroid of our state, I want you to have 80% of your attention on your body, just noticing. And I want you to use 20% of your mind to maybe just picture or see the dentist chair. Smell the office. And I encourage you to be curious about what happens in your body as you simply recollect the picture and smell of the dentist office. What happened to your overall muscle tension? Did your breath open or close? Does it feel like your body wants to freeze or maybe run? Move, get out. There's a statement in business that you can't manage what you can't measure. And it's similar in our mind-body practices. What we're doing right now is we're measuring, we're noticing our nervous system's response. It's habitual, it's patterned response to simply the recollection of something. And in noticing this, it's just interesting information. Wow, my breath closes. I feel tension in my back and my neck. And I feel myself that like I might not be able to move. And having noticed this, keeping your attention on your body, I would like you now to imagine that you could bring someone with you, anyone. Literally, it could be your grandmother, it could be your favorite pet, it could be someone imaginary. How does it feel as you allow your attention to focus on the idea that someone that you feel comfortable with, that cares about you, is coming with you? And just see this person's face. Taking your time, seeing the person's face, feeling their presence. What happens in your body as your ally comes into this practice? And we're going to add one more layer. If it feels all right for you, I'd ask you to place your hand on your chest. And in this moment, the true self, the witness consciousness, the person that's doing the observing of how the body is responding, is placing their hand on your chest and your heart. And what is it like for your true self, your witness consciousness, to tell your mind and tell your body that it's okay, and that literally your true self is here to support your nervous system, to support your body? If you've ever taken a pet to the vet, one of the things we do as a pet owner is we hold our pet and we stroke it. And simply through our contact and our body language and our tone, we are imparting to that animal that we're here to support them. Can you impart that same sense to the animal of your body? It's okay. I'm here. The dentist is here to help. What's going on in your level of tension? What's going around your heart and your chest and your breath? And what's going on in the mind? And holding this lovely self-connected state, true self supporting the body and the image and resource of your ally being there with you to support you as well. Soaking that into your body, your skin, your muscles, your cells. I then want you to swing the attention of your mind, 20% of it, to thinking about the dentist's space, dental chair. Smell. And I'd like you to be curious if your body is reacting any differently. It could be the same, but has anything changed? Does your body, does it tense up as much as it sees the table? Does it restrict around the breath as much? Just be curious about whether it feels any different. And in the dental space, can you maintain this support of self, true self, hand on chest, someone here supporting the nervous system and the body? Can you imagine your ally somewhere in the dentist space? Their attention and their care and just their presence. And now, with these resources in place, with this state, we can practice our future selfing a step further. What would it be like to imagine laying in the chair? Laying in the chair, the dentist is nearby, they have their mask on. There's that light above you. If at any point this gets to be too much, you can simply open your eyes and come back to where you are. But what happens now is you monitor your body as you're now laying in the chair. Notice that and return to hand on chest, true self, observing self. I am here to support us. We are not alone. The dentist is here to help. And also imagine your ally still there, still with you, still supporting you. And now notice if anything is changing in the tension in your body, in the area around your heart, chest, or breath. In the quality of your mind. And maybe you can have a little curiosity, maybe even a little awe at the practice you're conducting right now. You are taking a moment of time out of your day to explore new frontiers and possibilities in your relationship with your mind and body. To be willing to explore and experiment and see if there are things you can learn so that you can care for yourself, so that you can come home to yourself. I invite you to give yourself a little credit. And then I'm going to let you soften your efforts here, move the body a little bit, open the eyes, and come back to the here and now. Looking around your space, feeling your body in whatever surface you're resting on and being supported by. We can safely train and experiment with the nervous system and the body largely because the body and the nervous system don't know the difference between what's really happening and what we're thinking about or imagining. And when you can do that in a safe and incremental manner, you can start giving your brain and your nervous system exposure to new options, space, time, in which you can make choices. And the art is in practicing in exploring states and resources that make you feel safe, comfortable, protected, at ease, and slowly becoming comfortable with that which is uncomfortable, or really becoming more comfortable. It's not usually black or white. It's just that laying in that dentist chair now maybe is 20 or 30% or 50% easier than it was before. And so thank you for joining me on that future selfing journey and for being part of the series. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Carden. That was a really great practice. And I know for myself, I could notice myself sometimes wanting to drift off, sometimes really feeling the change between when I was thinking of, I thought of two resource folks actually, and how they felt different in my body too, both positive, but slightly different from each other.
Mm. Yeah. Well, they, the dentist is an interesting thing. It can be a real challenge because it's a thing where we want to be helped, but the animal of our body does not like being in that situation. And so it is a really interesting place to practice some of these techniques.
Yeah, thank you. Some feedback from the chat is this is one of my traumas, dentists. That was intense. I've been avoiding the dentist this year, so I needed this. Thank you. Someone else is saying, me too. I feel calm in those situations, but this exercise might help a lot. I can't feel calm in those situations. Someone else said, I noticed a positive change at the end, despite feeling unease. Thank you. It was inspiring. It felt good, but I can't tuning in and out. I kept tuning in and out.
Yeah, and that's very normal, folks. Like, it takes practice and time to keep the mind focused on a certain experience. And by the way, one of the things that we want to do is when situations become uncomfortable, we want to get out of them, and that's completely normal and natural, and not something to judge and just be like, oh, there that is.
Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful. Someone else said it allowed me to realize and accept how seemingly minor things really are terrifying for my nervous system. Usually I just deny and reject the existence of those feelings.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love hearing this feedback. I'm really glad that it was helpful for so many. And I know that took a little courage. That one was a bit more up the notch of challenge. And I feel bad for all the dentists out there. They want to help, and they really do want to help folks, right? And we all need our teeth taken care of. It's a tough bind, I think. But someone wrote, I think they said that's why they have the fish tanks and the furry animals. And my father-in-law is a dentist. He's a chatty Cathy, and I think they're all trying to deploy their methods to somehow help us be at ease in a situation like that.
Yeah. Just a couple more messages. Someone says, this brought my attention to my inability to breathe evenly, which is great to notice. It's very cool that you can imagine or visualize the resource and resourceful people in our lives. Someone else says, this felt really grounding. It feels empowering to know we can work in a good space with our nervous system. And then there's some questions about how often to practice these meditations, or if you have more of these types of visualizations.
Yeah. Well, folks can reach out to me on Instagram or through Chronic Fatigue School, and we can try to provide some more resources.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Carden. This was another great session. We thank all of our folks for being here, and thanks for your comments. Join us next time for session 5, which is the final session in this series. It's called Anchoring. You'll find past sessions on the TRF website. Just look in the resources tab for TRF Tuesday Library. Behind the scenes, big thanks to Pat Murray, Connor McCann, Star Muhammad, all on the TRF staff, and I'm Mary Frangie. We look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.